In the repair shop today, Susie goes fishing.
The more line that's in there, the easier it should be to catch it with my hook.
To get a golf bag ready for a round.
And I can't see where the hook or where the wire is. I'm really struggling.
And Steve and Will join forces
It's a good trick that I use to remove the old veneer.
on a century-old clock.
I've worked on hundreds of these clocks, and it still gives me such pleasure to work on such quality pieces.
But first to arrive at the barn, Wendla Kernig from London. Travelling with her is an old friend in need of Julie and Amanda's restorative touch.
Hello. Well, welcome.
Hello.
What brings you here today?
Well, Klaus brings me here today. Come on, Klaus.
Klaus?
Out you come.
Oh, hello, Klaus.
88 years old.
88.
I was taken with my parents in Berlin to buy him. And I was nearly 3. And I didn't realize at the time, but they bought him for me because the Nazis were looking for us. And it was while Hitler was coming into power. And when we got home, my mother said, now, when I put you in my bed under the quilt, you've got to take Klaus and you've got to keep him absolutely still. And he mustn't make a sound.
So that was her way of kind of preparing you for if you had to hide.
Yes. And one day she said, quick, quick. So we got under the quilt and she went into the wardrobe. And they came to the house and they knocked on the door. And I remember saying, shh, Klaus, quiet. And then after what seemed eternity, my mother came and got me out and said, it's all right. And it was the Gestapo, and they were after my father, because my father was working against Hitler. And they knew they could only find him through us.
What did he actually do?
He spied for Czechoslovakia,
Right.
Finland, and Norway against the Nazis.
What a brave man to stand up to the Nazis.
But Klaus was there for all of that.
Wow.
And then we came to England. I remember us getting on a train and it was full of soldiers. And my mother was scared that I would talk, so she sent me to go down the train. And then suddenly, I heard a funny noise. And there was my mother's half of the train going off, and there was my half of the train static. So I screamed, Mummy, Mummy, Mummy. And this SS man in his black uniform picked me up, ran, and he just threw me in and I dropped him.
Wow.
I thought I'd never see him again, of course, and I was heartbroken.
How did you get him back?
Well, after about 3 months, the trunk that my mother had packed appeared, and inside was Klaus. Now, my mother never knew how he got there. I definitely had him and dropped him at the station.
Wow.
I cried, and I was just so happy to have him.
And your father, what about your father?
My dad sent me cards every fortnight, and he always said, my dear little Wendla, please look after your mummy, look after your baby sister. And then the next thing I knew was that something had obviously happened to him, because I found a telegram from the Red Cross that my mother had, which said, we're sorry to inform you, but your husband has died.
Wow.
And I missed him terribly. I mean, I just love my daddy, you know.
Yeah. Klaus has been with you through all of this.
As a child, I told him everything. But I mean, when I got a bit older, I thought, I've got to stop this now. He's only a stuffed bear. But he was more than that, you know. And you see, that's why I would like you to repair him. He's really wearing out. But I'd love to keep his ears, because my mother, in the war, sewed new ears on him. And, you know, for my mother, I would like those ears on. Then he has got a growler in him. I don't know if that can be repaired. I mean, he hasn't growled for years.
We will look after him
I'm sure.
for you, and we'll let you know as soon as you can come and collect him.
Lovely.
Thank you, Wendla.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I'll
Bye-bye.
get the door for
thank
you.
I've had a wonderful life, I tell you. It's wonderful, you know. And Claus has been with me through all the adventures I've had. It'll be very weird to not have him. Because at home, he sits in the sitting room, he sits on the sofa, and everybody who comes in notices him.
You ready?
Oh, my goodness. It's a bellows growler.
Didn't they stop using these about 1920?
So Claus could be a bit older than we think he is.
Could be. Something maybe Steve can look at for us?
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot to do here.
Claus. So what do you think? Clean, line each piece?
Yep.
Stuffing?
Probably replace it, but let's see. If I carry on dismantling, Claus, how about you take all this over to Steve?
Thank you. Hi, Steve.
You're right.
I've got something very interesting for you. It's a growler.
OK, I'll have a look at that. Leave it with me. I'll see what I can do.
Great, thanks, Steve.
Next to arrive from Cumbria are Murray Winters and his sons Thomas and Cameron.
Hiya.
Hello.
Nice to see you all.
Nice to see you.
Hello.
They're hoping that Susie and Dom can put the swing back into a favourite family pastime.
What have you got?
I've got a rather battered set of golf clubs.
Okay.
Interesting.
They were my maternal grandfather's.
Right.
He died in 1957, before even I was born. He was a clerk working out of Waverley Station in Edinburgh, and he worked very hard, and his leisure time was spent either in the garden, which was immaculate, or there was a little golf course. So once every fortnight or so, he'd get a round of golf.
This was his pride and joy. This
was his
little
pride
escape.
and joy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
When I was about 4, I found them in Nana's shed, and the first reaction when I asked, can I play with them, was, no, you can't.
Absolutely not.
And it was because they were my grandfather's. They were very, very precious to my grandmother. And when I was about 6 or 7, I was then allowed to putt. I did used to occasionally sneak out one of the little chipping shots and have a go from the vegetable patch a bit further back, but only when nobody was looking.
So he's asking for broken windows.
It
I can
is,
see
isn't
this.
it?
The greenhouse glass is on. Yeah.
And then my nan died in about 1979. My mum and dad cleared the house out. I was vaguely aware they'd been moved to my parents' house, and there they stayed until my mum passed away last year on Valentine's Day, aged 93. And in the course of clearing the house out, there were lots of poignant moments. Yeah, but the most poignant moment was discovering this. This one just seemed to tie everything together. So it was my childhood, grandparents, parents, all just seemed to come together in one bit. And then these two, who about the only time they ever talk to me properly is on a golf course, we thought, well, we'll have a game of golf. And I thought, aha, there's those clubs.
Some in the loft.
And we booked onto a golf course in Chorley, and we arrived, picked the bag up, and it all fell apart.
I'm not surprised, to be fair, after being in the shed for so long.
Yeah, he still beat us.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah.
To see it in this condition now must be hard.
It is. They're clearly rusty. The clubs obviously had lovely coverings on them at some point. The bag, this was intact, but it isn't anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And the leather, when you look at it, it's sad and tired, and it would be lovely to see them usable, playable.
What do you want them to look like?
Well, I would trust you entirely
OK.
to do what's necessary. I mean, obviously, the more of it's that's still there that was there to begin with, the better.
Yeah.
But I'd sacrifice in complete originality for usability.
Perfect. That's absolutely brilliant.
Dad's already roundly thrashed us with the clubs as they are now, so if he's going to do it again, at least make it look like he's beating us with a competent set of clubs other than some sticks.
Do you want me to sort of secretly just modify them a bit so they make them a bit weird?
Oh, look, the head flew off of the wood.
This is going to be good fun, isn't
Oh,
it?
it's lovely. I'm really looking forward to this. It's first for me, so...
It's brilliant. It's lovely to meet you all.
Thank you.
Lovely
to meet you as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you
We'll
so
be in
much.
touch.
Good
Take
luck.
care.
See you
Bye-bye.
soon.
The golf clubs are really important to me because they are a link with my mum, who passed away last year, and then with my grandfather, who I never knew, but who I knew had a passion for the golf clubs, and it's maybe the only thing I inherited.
We've almost built up this routine of going out and having a chat over a golf course, enjoying each other's company. And if we can do that with this set of clubs, it would mean the world to us all.
Well, this has certainly had a life. The very first thing I need to do is clean up this canvas. And I've got a really mild detergent that I use for this sort of job. I want to make sure that there's no chance of causing any damage to this canvas, because canvas over the years actually rots. And it would be a disaster if it all fell apart when I get it wet. I can see it's actually coming off on this towel. So that's very, very encouraging. It's just going to take me a while to get there.
Also on cleaning duty, Julie. She's disassembled Klaus's limbs and is giving them a much-needed bath.
I'm literally just laying the pieces in, imagining all that Wendla had to go through with Claus. He's bound to have got a little bit dirty.
I've spent a lot of time stripping Klaus's head back. The only way to line this successfully is to peel the face off, but I want to keep the wood wall intact so that I can lay it back over the top. I'm going to hold my breath, I'm sure, as I do this. Go on, Klaus, we can do this. We can do it, buddy. There we go. Who said the bear had no brains? There they are.
These bellows are hard and just will not work at all, and it's supposed to open and shut and produce enough air to blow through and past this little metal reed here and just makes a sound. I just need to make the old original canvas supple. I'm just sort of easing all the fibres, breaking them apart so they move more flexibly again. And hopefully, if I put everything back as it should be, it should work all right.
I spent quite a bit of time lining Klaus's head because it was like paper, but these darns and the lining have really strengthened everything up. It's time now to get this back onto here. Fingers crossed. Making sure that I keep that really nice shape as I start to put his face back into position. Look at that, fits like a glove. So he's only pinned at the moment, but I can see already that we've maintained that really lovely face shape. I'm really pleased. So far, so good.
Now when I squeeze it down, that's beautiful. They just open and close in the right place rather than the scrumpled mess than it was before, quite nicely. So I need to glue this weight onto this side of the bellows here so that when the bear is leant the other way, the bellows will then close, which forces the air out of the bellows and through the growler, and will make that sound that Wendla will remember from being a child.
I'm using a little bit of what we call sub to line the foot. It helps to keep it a smoother finish because we're going to use wood wool for the rest of it and it can be a bit lumpy. But it's interesting to note that this is used in the upholstery industry, and Sonaz uses loads and gives us all the offcuts, which is marvellous because then we can use it in stuffing our bears.
Outside, Carol Short and her daughter Debbie from West Sussex have arrived. With them is a vintage timepiece for the attention of horologist Steve Fletcher.
Hello.
Hello.
And you brought a lovely clock with you.
I have.
Tell me a bit about it.
Well, this clock is over 100 years old. It was originally on the wall in the schoolroom of the Westmeston School where my father, Charles, attended from about 1913. Eventually, the school was closed and the head teacher's house came up for rent, which was adjoined to the schoolroom. And my father rented it, and the schoolroom was then used as a social club. This clock stayed in the schoolroom, ticking away there, and every week my father would wind it up, and he would do that meticulously every week.
Right.
Eventually, he bought the schoolhouse and the schoolroom. Buying the property meant he bought the clock with it.
So he knew this clock for most of his life.
Yes.
He lived in the schoolhouse until he was 100, where he passed away.
Wow.
So he'd been there a fair few years, hasn't he, really?
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about your father.
He was a real countryman, so he could turn his hand to anything, really.
Yeah.
He was a handyman.
Loved his gardening.
Yes.
He was just a very gentle chap, wasn't he? It was lovely.
There's lots of memories in that schoolroom. Christmas celebrations and birthdays and things like that.
With the clock ticking in the background.
Absolutely, always there.
Can you remember the tick of the clock?
Oh, definitely. That was the heart of the clock. That is the one thing that it needs. It needs its life back. It's got the memories in there, but I need the tick to get them out.
When was the last time you heard it ticking?
Oh, my goodness. I think from about 1980s, it just stopped. And I don't think he could get it going again because there's a few bits that need a little bit of attention, I think.
And why have you brought it in now?
Well, we wanted to remember Dad.
I thought, it's such a shame. I just felt there was time, really. Well, that's awful pun, isn't it?
I see the case is quite tatty in places, isn't it?
Yeah.
What would you like me to do with it?
Tidy it up as much as possible, but we don't really want it looking brand new, do we?
No,
Do you?
I mean, no, not really. There are holes in the face.
Yeah.
Yes.
During the war, the Canadian troops were billeted not far from our house, and they used the social club, but they decided on a drunken night that they might use this as a dartboard. So there are a few holes in the face.
We don't want to lose those because we think that's part of its history.
Okay. Yep, great.
I think the most important thing is obviously it works.
It would just be like going back in time to when I was small. It would just be like magic.
Thank you so much for bringing this in. I hope that I can get it ticking the way that you remember it ticking.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye
Bye.
now.
The old school clock is so important to the family because it has all our memories in it. Once it starts to tick, it'll give me back all those memories, and that's what I would really like.
I do wonder whether this clock has had a fall at some point because the case is quite cracked. What worries me is what's the inside like, whether the mechanism is rusted. This is the moment of truth. So there's hardly any rust inside this mechanism, which is fantastic news. Makes my job a lot easier. These clocks were in every office, every school, every station. They were everywhere. And they were brilliant quality and really good timekeepers as well. I've worked on hundreds of these clocks, and it still gives me such pleasure to work on such quality pieces. So I'm just going to strip it down now completely, give it a clean, and get the case over to Will to work his magic. Then I can get it all back together again and get that lovely tick that Carol will remember.
You know, when I get situations like this, I wish I went to Scouts and I was better at tying knots.
Dom is attempting to remove the rust from the ancient golf clubs.
Yes. OK, right. I'm going to submerge the metal part of the clubs in the rust cleaning solution, but I don't want to get the wood saturated in it. I'm just taking every caution possible to just be careful with these things. I mean, they're nearly 100 years old, so the first step is to get this solution in there. So just high enough so the metal's covered. Right, that's it. I can now leave those bubbling away in there.
Now that the bag has been cleaned and I've got the leather nicely rehydrated, I can now tackle the base here where it's split. And so I've cut a new piece of leather to cover all of that, to give the base a lot of strength and stability. I've got to figure out a way to sew this on. And this is going to be really hard because these are sewn on sewing machines that have very long arms. My arm isn't long enough to get down there to sew. And the only thing I've come up with so far is the fishing line trick that I use when I'm in really difficult repairs. I'm going to feed this fishing line through to the inside, and with my metal rod here with a hook on the end, hopefully grab the line, pull that to the opening here where I can put the thread through, and then I'm going to draw everything back down the bag and out through the hole. I've got the hole, and I'm just going to put a fair amount of the fishing line through. The more that's in there, the easier it should be to catch it with my hook. I'm really struggling. I can't see where the hook or where the wire is. It's just like fishing. Desperation. Yes, I've got it. Okay. Now, that should all get pulled through this hole that I've drilled. And that's going to draw that other thread through that hole. So that is the first stitch done, and I have another 49 to do.
Oh, look at that. They've clearly had long enough in there. The colour of that is literally gone black. I can take off a bit of string. Brilliant. It's the moment of truth. Let's have a look. Ah, yes. Brilliant. Right, I'm going to dunk them in this warm soapy water. It's going to wash off any leftover rust removing sauce. Look at all this detail that's uncovered. You can read so much more on there. You know, there's all these little marks and chips in the corners where Murray's granddad used them. And I don't want to have to sand these right back and polish that all out, and I'll lose all of that character. So by burnishing it, it's just almost like buffing the surface. It won't be as shiny as like a mirror polished piece, but it will be a good happy medium.
Now that I've got the base really secure, I'm starting to replace all the old strap work. When you're sewing into canvas, particularly old canvas, you need to be mindful of the fact that there's a fragility there. Murray has asked that I get the bag into a usable condition because he has every intention of using it with his sons on the golf course. And these straps will be integral to its functioning. And I'm confident that the repair is going to be very, very good, very, very strong.
Also looking much stronger for his time at the barn, Claus the Bear.
So I've just got to put the rest of his stuffing in his tummy and he'll be good to go.
Well done. I think considering everything that Claus has been through, right from back in that toy shop in Berlin to now, it's hardly surprising he was a little frail.
Absolutely. I think he's done remarkably well, really. He's been a constant, hasn't he, for Wendla all her life, really.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with him, really, really happy. I just hope Wendla loves him as much as we do.
This very special bear was a huge comfort as Wendla and her family fled from Nazi persecution in 1930s Germany.
I'm feeling really excited. I'm longing to see him. There's been an empty space. Everybody comes and says, "Where's Claus?" So it'll be good to have him back in that space where he belongs.
Hello. Hi,
Hello.
Hi. We're looking very happy.
I am very happy. I've come to collect my bear.
Yeah. What are you hoping that he'll be like?
I just hope he looks like Claus.
So are you ready to see him?
I am ready to see him. Go on. Claus, what a handsome bear you are. Look, I think he's lovely. Oh, you are good. Oh, Claus. He's lovely, isn't he?
He is very handsome.
Oh, thank you.
The ears that your mum made are still there.
Yes, I can see his ears are there.
And he does growl.
He growled.
It's his original growler. Steve did a marvellous job. Would you like me to demonstrate?
Please demonstrate.
Come here, Claus. Can you hear that?
Gosh.
It sounds like he's laughing.
He's happy to be home.
He is very happy to be home. It's all yours now.
Right, thank you very
Back where
much.
he should be.
Are you going to say thank you to the ladies?
You're
Thank you.
very welcome, Claus. Well, Wendla, thank you so much.
No, I say thank you to you.
Oh.
Because you've given him a new life, and I'm absolutely happy with the way he is.
Good.
There you
In
are.
he goes. Look at that.
Hi.
Transport fit for a bear.
He's hanging on for dear life.
Bye,
Bye. Bye, Wendla. Bye, Claus.
Bye, Claus.
He is brilliant. I'm really very, very happy. It's ridiculous a woman of my age playing with a bear, but it's just so nice to have him back.
While Steve has his hands full cleaning the old school clock's internal workings, woodwork expert Will is making a start on its damaged outer casing.
There's a lot of stuff to do here, I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to start off by feeding some glue into the damaged joints. I'm using this really fine spatula here, which is perfect for getting to those nooks and crannies. Once I've got all the glue I need into those damaged areas, I'm going to clamp this shut. Once it's dry, then I can tackle that damaged veneer.
I've gone through the whole of the clock now. I've cleaned it. All the wheels are in super condition. Got to make a new suspension spring. It's one of the things that usually gets broken in a clock, so this is quite a common practice to make a new one. The suspension spring will fit into the top of the pendulum rod there so that the pendulum will swing. And it's so important to get a suspension spring correct. It can affect the timing And it also can stop the clock or make it not work so efficiently. And it's worth spending 2 or 3 hours sometimes in getting a suspension spring absolutely right. I'm using a flexible piece of steel, and I've got to make a brass block in the top there just to hold it into the little unit there that suspends it. So I'm just going to make this brass block now. Really pinch it onto the suspension spring. Right, that fits really snugly. I just need to drill a hole through there now to put a pin through to stop it from pulling all the way through. Get it ticking in no time.
The glue has dried and the structure is now secure again, which is a great foundation for all the veneer work, which is peeling off. I'm going to have to replace it. A good trick that I use to remove the old veneer is using an iron. Now that can heat up the glue behind the old veneer, it softens it, and then it just peels away from the surface. That looks like a really good fit to me. I think it's time to start sticking. Lovely. I'm going to leave that to dry now, and once it has, I can trim off the excess veneer, give it a stain to match in with the rest of the wood.
Just adding the final part of the mechanism, and hopefully then it will tick away nicely. Just going to hang the pendulum on there. The suspension spring should work absolutely perfectly. And I'm just going to give it a little wind. And swing the pendulum and see whether it ticks away. It's got such a lovely tick to it, a real deep, heavy tick. And that's a tick that Carol will remember. And I'm sure it's going to take her right back to those days that she used to listen to it.
Susie and Dom have reached the last hole of their round in the restoration of the 100-year-old golf bag and clubs.
I'm just in the process now of making new handles for these golf clubs. It's quite a fun process. I'm using strips of leather to try and replicate as close as I can to these original ones. So the leather is all stuck down, looking good, really nice and neat. I'm so happy, it just feels really nice. But I need to sort out the ends, and that is where whipping comes in. I've got this roll of whipping twine in black. You start it off wrapping it around, making sure that each turn is butting up right next to the other one, and just give it a nice finish. That should do us. And there we go. There's no ends on show, no knots. And let's finish that off really nice and neat. Hey, Susie.
Hello. Oh, they look amazing.
They're ready to go. All done.
Well done.
You know what? That bag looks brilliant.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, they just look at home there, don't they?
Very good.
For owner Murray, the clubs and bag provide a precious connection, not just to his mother and grandfather, but also to his sons, Thomas and Cameron.
So the clubs were clearly very important to my mum. So she stored almost nothing that related to her dad. And this is about the only link I've got to her father, who I'd heard so much about. And what's important is what the golf bag enables us to do, which is me spend time with these two in a way that's relaxed and where we're hopeless at golf, but we just enjoy the walk and having a laugh.
Murray, hi.
Hello.
Hello. Lovely to see you again.
How are you guys feeling?
I've grown more emotionally attached to the clubs since I left them than I really felt when I brought them in, which has been really interesting, yeah. So I am fascinated to know what you've managed to do with them.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Go on.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Goodness me. Well, they've all got handles.
They've all got handles. Wow.
The heads are a different colour again.
First thing has to be thank you, because that's just marvellous. And I can guarantee those will be treasured. They'll get used as they were meant to be. So thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
Very welcome.
It's just a field day. I'm just going to
Have a go.
Yeah.
It's lovely seeing you so excited about them.
Yeah.
You can chuck it over your shoulder now.
And there's the old straps.
And the bits
There
in
you
there.
go.
Thank you ever so much.
Always keep the old
yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
It's really cleverly designed. I learned a lot. It was
Is
great.
it? All right.
When do you gentlemen plan to go out for a round of golf?
As soon as we can, I think, is the answer.
Well, they're yours to take
yeah.
away.
Are they?
Yeah.
Can we pack them up now?
right.
Yeah, and you can even use the strap. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Middle part for
Middle part
irons.
irons,
Yeah.
and then woods on either side.
Very organised to start with. This is good.
I like teamwork
Never
here.
happens in reality.
That
Thank
looks
you.
great.
Thank you.
Enjoy
Bye-bye.
them.
Enjoy them.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Oh, it's amazing.
I could tell how much work has gone into that, and I was blown away by it. It was amazing.
They're not an expensive set of golf clubs. Nobody's going to go, wow, I've never seen one of those before. They're just like any other set of golf clubs. But they're not, because they link me very directly to my mother, but also to my granddad.
Inside, Steve is ready to reassemble the old school clock.
This is always the best part of doing a repair job on a clock like this. Will has made the most spectacular job of the case. It is so good.
And I've kept the dial exactly as it was, with all the dart holes in it. I'm just going to pop the mechanism on. And the clock's raring to go. I just need to pop on the hands now. That's absolutely lovely. I'm so pleased with that. I just need to hang it up, test it, and it'll all be ready to give back to Carol and Debbie. I'm sure they'll love it to bits.
For 70 years, the ticking of the clock provided a soundtrack to one man's life, from school to Christmas, from get-togethers to birthday celebrations. But when owner Debbie and her daughter Carol brought it to the barn, it had been silent for several decades.
I'm just desperate to see the clock in its former glory, as my grandfather probably saw it when he went to school and sat under it 100 years ago.
I'm hoping I'm going to hear it tick. That's the heart of the clock to me, and that's where all my memories are, in the heart of the clock.
Hello.
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 Nice to see you again.
Thank you. Lovely to see you.
Yeah.
How have you been?
Excited.
What are you excited about?
I'm hoping it's going to sound. I want a nice tick, tock, tick, tock.
Let me show you what I've done.
Wow.
Oh my word. Look at it, Mum.
It's amazing.
Oh, listen.
I know. Wow.
It's very gentle.
It is.
It's a really
It is.
quiet.
It's just,
yeah.
It's like a heartbeat.
It's lovely.
It just clicks something in you, and just your mind just automatically goes back there. It's quite amazing, actually, quite overwhelming.
Oh, Mum, that's lovely.
It's fantastic, isn't it? It's still got where the darts went in.
I'm so impressed.
And the casing's beautiful, but it's still got its character. Here, Dad, we've done it.
Oh, Mum, it's lovely.
Gosh, he'd be so overwhelmed and really pleased. We have actually fulfilled his wish. Thank you so much. It just looks so amazing.
Thank you so much for bringing this in. It's been a great clock to work on, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I'll bring it out to the car for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. They've just done a fantastic job, haven't they?
Just absolutely amazed, because it was in such a horrible state. And to be honest, I don't remember it being as beautiful as it is now. It's quite amazing.